William Shakespeare's Hamlet is one of the world's best-known plays by a man widely considered the world's greatest playwright. Spoofed on The Simpsons and South Park, adapted by Disney, and filmed and staged countless times, Hamlet pervades our cultural consciousness. Even if this is your first direct exposure to the play, you are likely already familiar with some of its more memorable lines, like "to be or not to be," or "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio." William Shakespeare is widely considered the most famous playwright of all time. Although there are no records of his birth, Shakespeare's birthday is traditionally celebrated on April 23rd, 3 days before his baptism at Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. There, he spent most of his life while going to London for work. In November 1582, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, and together they had 3 children. 10 years later, he had established himself in London and found success as both an actor and a playwright with one of the 2 most popular London companies, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, which would later be known as the King's Men. The Lord Chamberlain's Men performed Shakespeare's works at court for Queen Elizabeth I, and later, as the King's Men, at the court of James I. However, in 1596, Shakespeare's son Hamlet tragically died at the young age of 11. Shortly after, Shakespeare's father died. These events may have been the inspiration for the play Hamlet. Shakespeare himself died in April 1616, leaving a legacy to both theater and literature that still endures today. Shakespeare's plays are timeless, with a universality to which anyone can relate. It's for this reason that so many 21st century analogs exist, like Disney's The Lion King. What Shakespeare was able to do so well was to incorporate ancient themes, modern nuances, and his own unique twist. For instance, fratricide for personal gain, adultery, faking madness, all themes you would expect to see in biblical stories like Cain and Abel. In addition to the universality of his plots, his use of dramatic and situational irony, along with fast-paced action, never fail to draw the audience in. Hamlet opens with the death of King Hamlet and the coronation of his brother Claudius. Prince Hamlet encounters a ghost, telling him that Claudius murdered the king. Hamlet vows to avenge the king's death by killing Claudius. Ophelia, Hamlet's love interest, tells her father Polonius that Hamlet has gone mad. Polonius tells King Claudius that Hamlet is driven mad by his love for Ophelia. They scheme a meeting between the two, in which Hamlet tells Ophelia he never loved her. The king decides he needs to send Hamlet to England. Before he does, however, he and Polonius plot another meeting between Hamlet and his mother. In the meantime, Hamlet sets up a play depicting the murder of King Hamlet. While watching Hamlet's play, Claudius goes mad. On his way to speak with his mother, Hamlet nearly kills Claudius, but he hesitates because he thinks Claudius is praying. During his argument with his mother, Hamlet kills Polonius, who was spying on them. Claudius, now paranoid, sends Hamlet to England with a death warrant. In the meantime, Ophelia commits suicide. Hamlet comes back to England and sees Ophelia's funeral. Claudius and Laertes plot Hamlet's murder at a fencing match, poisoning the sword and the wine. At the fencing match, Claudius pours poison into Hamlet's cup, but Gertrude drinks it instead, and she dies. Laertes tells Hamlet that both of them have also been poisoned. Laertes reveals the plot to everyone, proclaiming that the king is to blame. Enraged, Hamlet kills Claudius, stabbing him and forcing him to drink the poison. After everyone dies, young Fortinbras returns from Poland. Horatio tells him what has happened, and Fortinbras says Hamlet should have a soldier's funeral. Among the significant symbols in the play are Yorick's skull, which represents mortality, the Mousetrap. The characters and events of the play within the play symbolize actual events in Hamlet, and the ghost, which acts as both a bad omen and a trustworthy spirit. Among the play's themes are mortality, which acts as the central theme, with the presence of the ghost, certain characters contemplating suicide, and the gravedigger and Ophelia's funeral. Truth versus deception, which is present in almost every scene. Shakespeare uses this theme to illustrate the consequences of deceitful actions. Thought versus action can be seen as a way to contrast different characters, such as Hamlet and Fortinbras. Madness is used by Shakespeare, and even feigned madness, as another form of deception or to reveal painful truths. Revenge carries the plot, with Hamlet seeking revenge against his uncle, Fortinbras seeking revenge on Denmark, and Laertes seeking revenge against Prince Hamlet. A member of the king's men by the end of his career, Shakespeare, paradoxically, made a name for himself depicting the killing of kings, including Hamlet, Claudius, and even Prince Hamlet, of whom his successor Fortinbras says, "He was likely, had he been put on, to have proved most royal." Shakespeare's contemporaries heaped similar praise on him, Ben Jonson calling him "soul of the age, the applause, delight, the wonder of our stage," concluding that Shakespeare was not of an age, but for all time. A poet himself, Jonson also proved a prophet, since 4 centuries later we still find so much relevance to our lives in Shakespeare's immortal words.